Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. Great to have you guys with us today. It's been a few weeks since we've been on doing an MLB update, so we're going to concentrate on the Hall of Fame voting today. We'll talk about who got in, who maybe should have got in. I'll talk to you about who my ballot would have been. They won't give me a vote. We're still trying to work that out. And I'm going to go back. We're going to talk about some of the inductees over the past couple of decades, because the watering down to the Hall of Fame is really starting to annoy me. So we'll get into that. We'll look back at some of the free agent signings and player movement over the last couple of weeks since we've been on, and more. So we want to welcome everybody watching on TGI Sports Talk, of course, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Also, we're on Let's Talk Sports on their YouTube feed, and we're on Northeast Streaming Sports on Facebook, YouTube, and their Roku app. If you haven't got that Roku app, please get it downloaded. Lots of great content on Northeast Streaming Sports, on Let's Talk Sports. Make sure you get that app downloaded and check out those sites for different shows. A lot of great stuff happening over there. Thumbs up, DDH. I started doing this show with Dan Harris, or for Dan Harris, on Let's Talk Sports originally. And we've kind of expanded it from there, and we've kept it going, and we want to keep Dan's memory alive. We do that here on this show all the time. And a quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media, specifically, I guess, the sports corner that he does with Smokin' Jim Frazier every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on WBVP, 12:30 a.m., 99.3 FM. Hall of Fame. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm getting more and more annoyed every year. Now, I'm okay with a couple of these selections this year. Not okay with a few things. Mr. First Down, welcome. How are you? I think we should go on and on about my sad Guardians and how they really actually get in this year. Yeah, well, we'll be talking a lot about the teams individually. Mr. First Down, I'm sorry you're a Guardians fan. They look like they had a lot of potential a couple of years ago. Things have not gone so well since. And they moved some of the young guys that I like. But we'll talk more about that. Right now, I want to start with the Hall of Fame voting. We'll get into some other stories around baseball, specifically the player movement, since we were last on. We'll kind of go backwards from today or yesterday and see how that goes. This year's Hall of Fame voting, Adrian Beltre gets 95.1% of the vote. Absolutely no problem with Adrian Beltre in the Hall of Fame and a first balloter. And I don't worry about first ballot Hall of Famers. I don't understand guys who won't vote for the guy the first time they're in. You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. You know? Todd Helton gets 79.7. I got a big problem with Todd Helton getting in. Todd Helton's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Good player. This isn't the Hall of Good. Sorry, work. This isn't the Hall of Good. There's too many guys like Todd Helton in the Hall of Fame now, and his numbers are inflated by Coors Field tremendously. Average player, away from home. Joe Mauer, I'm fine with Joe Mauer. He gets 76.1% of the vote. I'm fine with that. Joe Mauer, 3-time batting champion, best catcher, one of the best catchers, maybe the best catcher of his era, until concussions moved him out from behind the plate. Now, his numbers as a first baseman, not so good. As a catcher, phenomenal. Maybe you want to see a little more power, whatever. How many catchers are winning batting titles? Not named Yogi Berra. Billy Wagner just misses at 73.8. Drew's not with us today. Drew Ehrlich, who often will join me on this show, and I'll get to your comments there, Mr. First Down. What do you got there anyway? Hold on. Plus, you need to mention more about how I'm your favorite Titans fan. Now I got to figure out who Mr. First Down is. We have a few guys who like coming under assumed identities. Anyway, Drew Ehrlich wasn't able to join us today. He's a big proponent of Billy Wagner being in the Hall of Fame. I'm a little nonplussed. I don't. If he gets in, I guess I wouldn't care. Was he dominant? Sure. Did he pitch in a lot of World Series? No. He only got like 4, and Drew's not here to defend himself, so I don't want to put him on the spot too much. Maybe he's with us for a little bit today. Drew had someplace he had to be by 4 o'clock, so he couldn't join us live. Maybe he'll be here. I said he didn't win any Cy Youngs. It's not just he didn't get any Cy Youngs. He got about 4 Cy Young votes in his career. Now, maybe that number's off a little bit, but not a lot. And don't tell me relievers don't win Cy Young. Sparky Lyle won a Cy Young. Willie Hernandez won a Cy Young and an MVP. And there's a few others. I went back and looked. Not a lot, but there were guys getting shares. Mariano Rivera was in the voting year after year. And he pitched 900 innings in his entire career. The relief pitchers of today, I have a harder problem putting them in, a more difficult time putting them in. You can't pitch unless you come in with nobody on in the 9th inning. I can do that. Actually, I can't, but you should be in there when the game's on the line. Sparky Lyle would come in the 5th inning. Sparky Lyle pitched 4, I believe, 5 in the 3rd innings. And the Games 5 of the American League Championship Series, a clinching game, is when there was 5 games in 1977. Who's doing that today? Nobody. So Billy Wagner's going to get in. Okay. Again, with some of the other guys that I've gotten in for the last few years, I can't complain. And I probably will complain, but I shouldn't complain. We're going to go over some of those selections and why I don't like them. Gary Sheffield got 63.9 his last year in a ballot, so he's going to have to hope the, whatever they call the committee now. It's not Old Timers Committee. It's whatever. What do they call it? Hold on. I can tell you right now because I got this open right here. Today they call it it was the Veterans Committee. Now it is the Contemporary Baseball Era Committee. Why can't this have one name? And we have a Golden Days era. Oh, my gosh, right? The rest of the voting. I'm just annoyed. Andrew Jones. I voted for Andrew Jones. 61.6. He's got a couple years to go. Trending in the right direction is Andrew Jones. Hall of Famer defensively. Had some great, his first 10 years were very good. Carlos Beltran, no, 57.1. People think that the Astros scandal kept him out. I don't think so. I don't know that Carlos Beltran is Hall of Fame worthy. A-Rod I did vote for, 34.8. He's not getting in. Manny Ramirez, 32.5, not getting in. Both on my ballot. You can't have Hall of Famers, guys who had 500 home runs, guys who were difference makers and feared hitters not being in, or pitchers, in Roger Clemens' case, not being in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Put him in there and tell the story. I've said this 100 times. Or as Kenny Gifford, one of our followers, said, put a wing in just for the bad guys. Chase Utley, I don't think is deserving. 28.9. Omar Vizquel, probably no. 17.7. Bobby Abreu, no. 14.8. Jimmy Rollins, 14.8. No. A lot of guys push for Jimmy Rollins. I'm not getting it. Andy Pettit, probably not. But given the fact that, pitchers were winning less games as Andy Pettit's career went on, his numbers don't look so bad when you compare it with the modern era. His playoff production was also very, very good for the most part. Mark Burley, no, 8.3. Francisco Rodriguez, 7.8. Torrey Hunter, 7.3. And David Wright, 6.2. Barely survives the 5% threshold to stay on the ballot. So everybody here stays on the ballot except for Gary Sheffield, the only one who will fall off the ballot besides the inductees this year. But all in all, and by the way, Helton again. Go get that music playing, huh? Helton helped by Coors Field, but he becomes one of the guys who started the lowest and finally made it to the Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland, I believe, was the lowest, and Scott Rowland shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. He's not a Hall of Famer. If he's a Hall of Famer, Greg Nettles is a Hall of Famer. I've had this argument now for a year, and I don't know that he should be in. He started at 10.2%. He went from 10.2 to 17.2 to 35 to 52 to 63 and finally got in with 76. It took him 6 years. Todd Helton started at 16.5. Got in on his 6th year. Duke Snider started at 17%. Got in his 11th year. You could stay on a ballot, I believe, then 15 years. But Duke Snider started at 17%. Burt Blyleven started at 17.5. I love Burt Blyleven. Great pitcher. Always pick him for my Stratomatic teams when I'm in tournaments in that era. But I don't know that he belongs. Longevity is what Burt Blyleven had going for him. Mike Bucina started at 20.3. Larry Walker, 20.3. These are the guys that started low. Don Drysdale started at 21%. Look at some of these guys. Let's go back. I can't go back all the way because there's so many names, right? But I'm going to go back to 1990. Joe Morgan, definitely a Hall of Famer. Bill Veeck, definitely a Hall of Famer. Gaylord Perry, definitely a Hall of Famer. So let's see where the jump-off point here is. Actually, yeah, we'll get there. Tony Lazzeri, I think a Hall of Famer. Fergie Jenkins, yes. Rod Carew, yes. Tom Seaver, yes. Hal Newhouser, don't know as much as I should about Hal Newhouser. I'm going to say yes. Bill McGowan, Raleigh Fingers, yes. Reggie Jackson, yes. Phil Rizzuto, as a Yankee fan, I'm sorry. No, Phil should not be in. This was the jump-off point where things started to kind of change in my mind. And we started to lower the standard a little bit. He gets on the Veterans Committee now. He didn't get voted in. Leo DeRocher in as a manager. I just don't know. Long time he managed. Won one World Series, I believe. Steve Carlton, without a doubt. Vic Willis. Don't know enough about Vic Willis. Played in the 1800s. Mike Schmidt, without a doubt. Mike Holbert. He was an executive, so we'll give him a pass. Yes. Leon Day. Don't know enough about him. Played too early for me to know. Richie Ashburn. Another great defensive player. I'll say okay. Richie Ashburn might be borderline. Earl Weaver, yes. Ned Halen, manager, sure. Bill Foster, don't know. Jim Bunning, yes. No hitters in both leagues. One of the best pitchers of his era. Willie Wells, again, these guys are on the turn of the century. I don't know enough about. Phil Niekro absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. 300 wins, 500 home runs, 3,000 hits. Still benchmarks to get into the Hall of Fame. 300 wins. Nobody's going to win 300 games again. I think not Scherzer. I think Verlander's the only guy would probably have shot. And he'd have to pitch too many more years. Tommy Lasorda, sure. Nellie Fox, oh, man. Veterans Committee. And this is where it comes in. The baseball writers have done a pretty good job. The Veterans Committee, I don't know. I feel like they feel sorry for guys, and they let guys in for longevity, for, Don Sutton, all right, pitched a long time. He's an accumulator. I mean, he's never the best pitcher in the league, but really the best pitcher on his team. Bullet Rogan, another guy I can't really speak about. Lee McPhail as an executive, absolutely. Very important executive with the Yankees and also with the American League itself. Larry Doby broke the color barrier in the American League. Also won a batting championship and had some good years in Cleveland. Yes, just for breaking the color barrier. Robin Young, yes. Won MVPs at 2 different positions, had 3,000 hits. Nolan Ryan, yes. People get on Nolan Ryan because of his low win percentage. 530 maybe, 524, something like that. But he had well over 300 wins, 5,000 strikeouts, and he pitched almost 200 no decisions where his ERA was like 2. If he wins half those games, you get the best pitcher of all time. Nestor Shylock as an umpire, fine. Orlando Cepeda, veterans bring him in, okay, maybe. George Brett, without a doubt. Turkey Stearns, don't know enough about him. Tony Perez, man, a great leader in the clubhouse. 90 RBI man year after year. No MVPs. This is where we're starting to, I just don't know. Carlton Fisk, yes. Carlton Fisk was one of the best catchers of his time. Tony Perez was one of a bunch of great first basemen. Why is Tony Perez in and not Steve Garvey? I make these arguments, again, I'm not trying to besmirch any of these guys. Sparky Anderson, absolutely. Dave Winfield, absolutely. Kirby Puckett. Kirby's peak was really good, but if Kirby Puckett belongs in the Hall of Fame, and he went in with the writers, by the way, Don Mattingly belongs in. They had nearly the same span of years where they were great. Bill Mazeroski by the Veterans Committee, another great second baseman defensively, but I see him like Rizzuto. And defense does matter. I mean, Andrew Jones, I say this year should have gotten in because of his glove, but he also hit the ball for most of his career. Ozzie Smith, I got no problem there. Eddie Murray, no problem there. Gary Carter, no problem there. Paul Molitor, no problem there. Dennis Eckersley, yeah. Great starter, great reliever. Ryan Sandberg, yes. Wade Boggs, yes. Caused a problem when he chose the Tampa Bay, who paid him to use their logo to go in, though, wear their hat, I should say. We'll pass over some of these guys. Don't know the Negro League guys, sure. I mean, I'm sure they were fine players. Put them in. Bruce Sutter, yes. I mean, relievers. Bruce Sutter pitched 3 innings a game. I talked about many games, not every game. I talked about how my problem with Wagner was not enough innings pitched. Not enough games pitched. Well, Sutter didn't pitch as many innings as I thought either. But Cy Young. By the way, I talked about Billy Wagner not getting Cy Young votes. Cy Young 6. Cy Young 1. He won a Cy Young award. Finished 5th, 6th, 3rd. You don't get any of that out of Billy Wagner. Where am I? Pete Hill, no, I don't care about these guys. These are all Negro League. I don't want to say I don't care about the Negro League guys. Sorry, I don't have enough information to say they belong or don't belong. There were some great players in the Negro Leagues who never got to play in the major leagues. Cal Ripken, obviously, no-brainer. Tony Gwynn, no-brainer. Dick Williams, no-brainer. Billy Southworth, manager. I'm okay with that. Walter O'Malley, absolutely. Bowie Kuhn, all right. Jim Rice, yes, dominant for 10, 12 years in his career. Ricky Henderson, yes. Joe Gordon by the Veterans. Nonplussed about that as well. Whitey Herzog won one World Series. Doug Harvey, yeah, sure. Andre Dawson, I'll give you that. Pat Gillick, absolutely. Omar Roberto Alomar, yes. Ron Santo, Golden Area guy. I don't know. He was at the time, he was one of the top third basemen in the league, top hitters, top fielders. I'll give him a benefit of the doubt. Barry Larkin, good player. Joe Torre's in for managing. Yes. Frank Thomas, sure. Greg Maddux, absolutely. Tony La Russa, absolutely. Tom Glavine, yes. And again, we got to start looking at pitchers differently now because they're not going to win 300 games. John Smoltz, yes. Dominant as a pitch starter, dominant as a reliever, much like Eckersley. Pedro, sure. Randy Johnson, sure. Craig Biggio had 3,000 hits. He's in. Mike Piazza, sure. Catchers, I look at it differently than anybody else, since Joe Mauer. Ken Griffey Jr., no-brainer. Bud Selig, sure. Sherholtz, yes. Irod, Ivan Rodriguez, yes. Tim Raines, yes. Jeff Bagwell, sure. But if Jeff Bagwell's in, and we'll get to David Ortiz in a little bit, where's Bonds? Where's Clemens? These guys are all, and Mike Piazza is shrouded in steroid chatter. Put him in and tell the story. Alan Trammell, fine player. Not sure he belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Again, when I look at some of these guys, the modern committees I've put in, how is Thurman Munson not getting in? How is Nettles not getting in? How is Don Mattingly not getting in? Jack Morris, okay. Didn't get voted in, though. Trevor Hoffman. I guess if you're going to put Hoffman and Suter in, you got to put Billy Wagner in. But again, when I look at guys like Hoffman, let me look at his Cy Young. 5th, 2nd, 6th, 2nd. Don't tell me they don't compete in Cy Youngs, because they do. Let me look up Billy Wagner. Did Billy Wagner. I think I looked this up, and it wasn't a whole lot. Billy Wagner and Cy Young. 4th and 5th. Two times in his career, he shows up in there. That's not good, guys. Where was I? Looking at the Hall of Fame. Trevor Hoffman. All right, fine. Vlad Guerrero, yes. Lee Smith, again, man, I just don't see Lee Smith. Was Lee Smith a game changer? No. Mo Rivera, yes. Mike Mussina, sure. Holiday? Again, I got to look at it differently because of the wins not being as big a deal. Sure. Harold Baines? No freaking way. Harold Baines, no. No, 1,000 times no. How is Harold Baines in and Sheffield's not, Mattingly's not? Larry Walker, okay. Again, Coors Field had a lot to do with that. Ted Simmons, great hitting catcher. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Marvin Miller absolutely belongs in as a contributor. Derek Jeter, yes. David Ortiz, again, double standard. Tony Oliva, injuries cut his career short. Won 3 batting titles, though. But again, if he's in, how about some of the guys I've mentioned already? Buck O'Neill, sure. Minnie Minosa, Minnie, he played in 5 decades. One was a, publicity stunt. Not sure. Jim Cott, love Jim Cott. Love Jim Cott as an announcer. Tough guy on the field. He's not a Hall of Famer. Gil Hodges, I'll catch a lot of grief for this. He's in as a player. No, 1,000 times no. He can't be in there with some of the guys I've talked about being left out. Clutch hitter. Probably the glue of those Dodger teams, but no. Scott Rowland, no. Fred McGriff, no. He was voted in by a contemporary committee, no. And then we got this year's. Jim Leland, by the way, also went in. I'm not even so sure about Jim Leland. He wins 1 World Series with a deck stacked with the Marlins. I'm just not so sure that this is, the direction we should go. No comments for the peanut gallery. I mean, this is going to get this Hall of Fame is going to get more and more watered down, and we're going to get more and more upset about it. Guaranteed. Anyway, let's look at some of the player movements since the last time we chatted. Today or yesterday, the D-backs signed Jock Peterson. Yeah, again, interesting. The Diamondbacks are getting away from what really made them good last year. More than other teams, a lot of contact. Again, relatively speaking, a lot of contact, moving guys around a little bit, put some pressure on the defense. They're getting away from that. They signed Suarez earlier in the offseason. Now they signed Jock Peterson. These are swing and miss guys, home runs when things are going well. What we got here? Hello, Daniel Barry from Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. How you doing, Daniel? Good to have you with us today. Hope you'll follow TGI Sports Talk. I don't think you've been with us before. Lots of shows. We do this show. We do the Are You Serious show with the Mad New Yorker on Friday mornings. College Sports Huddle on Wednesday nights. Also replayed on Saturday mornings on Northeast Streaming Sports Roku channel. We do our Sunday Stream of Consciousness, which is my favorite show of the week. We just riff on everything, and the audience participation drives that show. And we also guest on a lot of other shows, on the Mac and Jack. A lot of shows on Northeast Streaming Sports. Some of the LTS guys have me on, and we enjoy it. Sorry for my cough. The Rangers continue to collect old pitchers. They signed David Robertson to a 1-year deal for the $11 to $12 million range. Ryan Hoskins signs with the Brewers. Brewers had atrocious production out of their first base slot last year. Ryan Hoskins missed most of last year with an injury. Good player, shaky defensively, I think, and again, another swing and miss guy. Angels, who have been very quiet this offseason, they're going to have a very bad team, and I feel bad for Ron Washington that his second shot that took so long to come is going to be with the Angels. The Nationals, again, they're going to be horrible. They signed Joey Gallo to a 1-year, $5 million contract. The Angels signed Robert Stevenson, another okay righty reliever, better than some of the other guys that they've signed, although he did miss a bunch of time. He has missed time with injuries, and it's written into his contract, I believe. If he misses times with injury, you could lose money on this, but it's basically a 3-year, $33 million deal. The big deal since we were on last, or one of the big deals since we were on last, Josh Hader signs with the Astros. They talked with, who was their closer last year? Now it's skipping my mind. It'll come to me. They talked with him before they brought him in. Josh Hader is a real, he had some problems with Milwaukee before he got traded to San Diego 2 years ago. He had a bad stretch. He is one of the best pitchers relief pitchers in baseball. I wanted the Yankees to be all in on Josh Hader. no go. The Jays reach agreement with Yariel Rodriguez at a 4-year, $32 million deal. Cuban right-hander. Giants landed Jordan Hicks, signed him to a 4-year, $44 million contract. Again, the Giants going to the value well, if you will. Yankees lengthened their starting rotation, which is still a problem. They signed Marcus Stroman, which is an interesting move considering some of his history with the Yankees or against the Yankees. Signed a 2-year, $37 million contract. I'm okay with this deal. Yankees need some depth, man, still. They're going to give the kids a chance in spring training, most likely, to nail down that 5th spot. And you've got to hope Rondon comes back. I don't have a lot of confidence in. Nestor, I have more confidence in. Hopefully he can come back. And you got to hope that Clark Schmidt continues to take steps forward. Otherwise, this is, Garrett Cole, Stroman, and hope for rain. Don't really care about that move. The Cubs did get one of the, Yamamoto was the prize from Japan this year, but they get maybe the runner-up in Shota Imanaga, if I'm saying that close to right, 4-year, $53 million deal. Several provisions in this. The team option, it includes a team option to extend the contract after both years 2 and 3 to $80 million for 5 years. Good move for the Cubs. Cubs are going to be an interesting team this year. They really need to bring Cody Bellinger back. I don't know why Cody Bellinger has not signed anywhere yet. The Dodgers bring in Teoscar Hernandez, who had a down year with Seattle last year, but has had a pretty good major league career. Manaea signs with the Mets. This Met rotation is going to be bad. I don't know how the Mets are going to compete. This might be where we started to. I guess this is where we probably left off. Harrison Bader signed with the Mets, as we know. Robbie Ray gets traded to the Giants for outfielder Mitch Haniger and right-hander Anthony DeScalafini. I'm not sure what that trade's all about. Robbie Ray has had some good years. I like him. So, anyway, that's kind of where we left off in trades. Any other news worthy stuff going on here? Source Diamondbacks and Peterson, we talked about that. Hall of Fame class. Guys, I'm just so unhappy about the Hall of Fame. That's really all the news I've really got to report right now. Let me look at let's just look at the Athletic quick. Sometimes they have some stuff that. A lot of talk, and there's a lot of articles about baseball shortening its season. I don't want to see that, guys. I don't need to see a 148-game season and extend the playoffs and put more teams in there. I don't want to see that. Who does? Anthony Rendon brought up that they should shorten it, that it's too many dang days, 162 games, 185 days, or whatever it is, he says. By the way, he's not the best messenger for this because he averages 50 games a year the last 4 years, making $245 million on a 4-year contract. He's not the guy to be carrying this message and carrying the water for the players on this. Why shorten the season? I don't need more. There's already too many teams in the playoffs. I don't enjoy the game going into the middle of November. So frustrating. Do not shorten the season. Part of the, I have this argument with one of our big followers. The season is not too long. Major League Baseball is supposed to be a marathon, not a sprint. You build teams to last that through that marathon. And if you can't do that, then you don't deserve to win. I don't know if you're still with us there, Mr. First Down, but the Guardians are going to get to play their home opener coinciding to a rare solar eclipse. So maybe that's a good sign for the Guardians or a bad sign. Not sure which. What's left in the free agent market, by the way? We didn't talk about that. Blake Snell's still out there, and as far as I know, he's had one offer. One offer. That's from the Yankees, who are not going to up their offer at all. Jordan Montgomery's still out there. Clayton Kershaw's going back to the Dodgers. That's not happening. Mike Clevenger. Jinru. Michael Lorenz still out there. Those are starters. Relievers, not that many. No, really nobody out there of consequence. Up the middle position players, Cody Bellinger, Tim Anderson. Whit Merrifield is a very serviceable player. There's some good players. Spring training, guys, is right around the corner. 3 weeks. Right-hand power bats. George Soler, who I think did sign. I think he signed with the D-backs. I'm not sure. When was this article written? I feel like he signed. No, this article's from the 24th, so I doubt that's true. JD Martinez and Justin Turner. Justin Turner in talks with the Mets to possibly return DH and play a little bit of third base. Matt Chapman's still out there. Yankees love this guy. I would love to have Matt Chapman playing third base for the Yankees this year and have DJ in a utility role. Brandon Belt, Tommy Pham. Some pretty good players left, and we're right around the corner from spring training. Hard to believe. We started with the Hall of Fame. Let's end with the Hall of Fame. Let's look at this Hall of Fame mailbag that I saw here. Which 5 active players have the best shot to be unanimous Hall of Famers? Well, no. Nobody's going to be unanimous again, probably. What are Chase Utley's chances of getting the Hall of Fame? Did Mauer pave the highway to Cooperstown for Buster Posey and Yater? Yeah, Yadier Molina's a Hall of Famer. Buster Posey, yeah, I'll say yes. So what do we got here? Anyone currently playing who's on a Hall of Fame trajectory have a chance of unanimous vote? I'm going to say no. Guys that are currently playing that have a chance at getting in, like Trout, Verlander, Max Scherzer, Mookie Betts, Ohtani. They're probably the guys. None of them's going to get a unanimous vote, though, I don't think. I'm so shocked that Mo Rivera got it. That's a stupid question. Should they change the rule requiring 5% votes to continue staying on the Hall of Fame ballot? Seems several worthy candidates were eliminated after 1 year. I think a 3-year minimum would allow voters a chance to really take time to evaluate players. If you don't know, I don't understand why guys wait to vote for guys. You can't get in. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. If you're a Hall of Famer, then it doesn't matter if you're the first ballot or your last ballot. There's a list of guys who fell off the ballot, and David Wright just made it this year. Mark Teixeira, not a Hall of Famer. Lance Berkman, Roy Oswalt, not Hall of Famers. Johan Santana, Johnny Damon, not Hall of Famers. Jose Posada, Jim Edmonds, Carlos Delgado, Kenny Rogers, and Luis Gonzalez. These are guys over the last 8 years or so who have not gotten the 5% and fallen off the ballot in their first year. And it's okay. None of those guys were ever going to make it to the World Series. Or to the World Series, to the Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland, I still believe, was the lowest guy, started the lowest to ever get in. 10%. And I don't think he should have. I mean, and then we got the guys that aren't in. Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, Mattingly. All got to rely on the Veterans Committee now. How is it Andrew Jones is considered a strong candidate for the Hall of Fame, but Jim Edmonds couldn't muster enough votes to stay on the ballot? Their statistics are nearly identical on offense and defense. Are they, though? Edmonds might have been better. I'm not arguing Edmonds doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm arguing that Jones does before he falls off. Edmonds did have a longer peak. He was still winning Gold Gloves and making all-star teams, between 31 and 35. And Jones never made an all-star team or won a Gold Glove after the age of 30. So his peak was very quick, but it was really good at its peak. And everybody's got their own criteria here, right? Some are okay with the compilers getting in. Some are okay with guys who, had shorter peaks, but were very dominant for that period of time. And if you're one of those guys, how is Don Mattingly not in the Hall of Fame? Same applies to Andrew Jones. And with that, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up today. I got a couple work things that look like they're starting to rise to a brush fire a little bit. Plus, we don't have a ton of people here. We'll probably do this show every couple of weeks going forward, or when news warrants it. I enjoyed it. As always, Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. You'll see this show again next week or the week after. We'll see when we're back. We'll be traveling a little bit in February, so it'll be hit and miss for all the shows through February. But we'll keep you up to date with announcements on the site. So Keith Engle, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.